Hi everybody, Karen Burchill, Creative Katie. Today, in this video, I'm going to challenge you. It's a collage challenge. Now this tutorial is one of the 5 for fall, where I create 5 fall projects using 5 or more different napkins. So the challenge, I'm going to challenge you to create a focal image using at least one napkin, not as it's intended, as collage paper. Now, you have to use one. You can use more than one, and you can supplement it with gel prints or other collage papers that you might have in your stash. But the focal image must be created completely using collage. So let's get started. So here is my 7x10 Canson Mixed Media Art Journal. I've already given it a coat of gesso, and I'm using this stamp set from Stamperia. It's from Vicky P, and I love this alphabet. I'm braying on black acrylic paint and just stamping it onto the background. This is giving some interest as the first layer. Then there's also this grid stamp, and I'm going to do some of that. I'm just breaking the page, grunging it up, and all this will be peeking through very subtly in the end product. This is a great way to break the page, to get yourself going in your creative flow. So once that's completely dry, I'm moving to the second stage. Now I know my napkin, autumn birch, and my collage papers are in that orange zone. So I want to make a background that's across the color wheel, so blues and teals. So I grab bright aqua, greenish blue from Amsterdam, and light blue permanent. And I'm going to apply that to my background with a makeup sponge. I dampen the makeup sponge a little bit with water, and I'm just grabbing different shades of blue and putting it on the background. Some are more opaque, that's going to push the black stamping that we did further back. Some are more translucent, and you're going to see more of that shining through. But remember, that stamping was kind of first layer. I don't want to see it. I don't want that to be forward. I want that in, well, the background. I'm mixing the paints wet on wet. That coat of gesso that I put there at the beginning, that helps me be able to blend the paints together. If you're going onto raw paper, it tends to soak into the paper, so your blendability goes down. And I'm just mixing it up. I want this mottled look. I want this variation in tones. And because I'm all in the blue-green area, I'm not making mud. There's no risk of making mud. All the colors are going to work. It's just a matter of where do I want it. If I want something a little darker, a little brighter, I can let it dry and add another layer. But I'm loving the mottled teal blue look that I've got going on here. A good base. And you can see a lot of that stamping you see. So this napkin again was called Autumn Birch. And I'm not using it as birch trees. I'm using it as collage paper to make a sunflower or a sun, some kind of motif. And I grabbed some gel prints that coordinated well with it, that had a little bit of subtle pattern, but not too much. I just grabbed a pair of scissors and made like a sunflower leaf, whatever size, and I'm just using that as a template. I didn't even bother putting this on manila tag. You could if you want more stability. This is just copy paper, and I'm just putting it on the napkin and cutting them 2 by 2. Now at this stage, I wasn't sure it was going to work the way it was working in my head. So I take a minute and just put that down on the paper to see, is this going to be how I think it's going to be? And I'm very happy with it. So I'm just going to continue to cut out sunflower petals for my collaged focal image. I grabbed another gel print. I figured maybe that is a little too much print. I wasn't sure which one would be a better fit. So I'm going to cut some out of this plainer one and some out of the dotted one that you see on the left-hand side. And I'm going to play with it and see what I like better. It's kind of a learning process. Figure it out as you go. So don't feel you have to have everything figured out minute one. What I don't use here, I can use on a different page. And I'm learning stuff. I'm wondering, should I use all three? So I'm playing with it. I've cut out a rough circle for the center of the sunflower. I've playing with the orientation a little bit, but I'm undecided exactly how I'm going to work, but I know it's going to work in the end. Final decisions aside. I want to add more interest to my background. So I grabbed this stencil. It's from the Crafter's Workshop. It's one of the newest. It's called Leafy Vines, and it's adding that vine leaf motif. And I'm just using the darkest blue that I used in the background on top. This is giving very subtle patterning. Grab my dot stamp, adding some white, and this is pushing back some of that black stamping that we did earlier and turning this in more into a background. I don't want anything that's in the background to be dominant. So I clean off the white and now I'm just applying gold. I'm thinking that I need some of that gold in the background to tie in with the collage papers that I'm using. And I'm loving the look. You know me, I love, love, love the shimmer. So I'm just adding that and as I go. And the iridescent quality of this, it's like it's there, so you're getting a little bit of that yellow, but it's not in your face bright. I want to add a little bit more of that yellow, golden, orangey color, so I grabbed yellow oxide and a script stamp, and I'm just applying that with a makeup sponge, and then I'm stamping on there. And that's really introducing those colors that are in those petals into my background. I don't want a lot of this, but I do want it to connect. You want your focal image to connect with the background in some way, shape, or form. So I picked blues and greens as a complementary color. It's across the color wheel because that's going to give me a lot of energy on the page and go work really well. But I'm adding the yellows and the golds to tie it in. And you'll notice on that one collage paper, it has kind of dots. That ties in with the dot stamp that I use. So they work together in a cohesive pattern. And there we have the background. I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. I think it's going to make a great background for my collaged focal item. I realize at this point that if I'm going to collage the napkin down, I need to make sure that nothing from the background comes through. So I need to glue those petals down onto copy paper. And I'm using my fluid matte medium to do that. That way it just makes sure that the colors and the patterns that are in that napkin stay there, that nothing from the background is going to come through, because when you wet the napkin, glue it down, it becomes translucent. I decided this time I'm going to edge my leaves or shade them, and I'm just using black, and I'm going on each side, outlining it, and this adds a lot of depth to the image. Now I could have glued them down and then did it. I just thought maybe it would be easier doing it at this stage. So I kind of do it in both. I do it later a little bit to touch up, but doing it at this stage really was easy because nothing's interfering. The petals aren't overlapped with the other petals. Just easier to get. Once that's dry, I'm just cutting it out. And then I'm playing with orientation. I could go this way. I could go this way. I played with a lot of different options. Here's the composition that I decided to go with. So once you're happy with where you have it, you need to glue everything down. So I'm very carefully taking off the top layer, and I'm trying to keep the bottom layer where it is, grab my gel medium, and I'm going to glue these petals down. Now, yeah, everything kind of fell apart here, so I'm just kind of remembering where it goes. And I'm putting a layer of gel medium underneath and on top. Once that first layer is done, I'm going to put the second layer. I just want to make sure everything's going in the right place. Yep, still going to work. And I'm gluing it down. And I'm loving how this turns out. Now, doing a sunflower, this is really easy. So if in the challenge you want to do a sunflower, go for it. Go through your papers, go through your napkins. Maybe you can use 2 napkins. It could be another kind of flower. It can be a landscape. It could be a bird. You can make anything with collage papers. If you do take up the challenge, tag me either in my Facebook group, Art Journaling and Mixed Media Creations, or in Instagram at CreativeKady. Now I wanted to kind of ground this or give it a little bit more weight, so I'm just adding a couple lines here, kind of swoops off on each side. And I'm just using my liner brush and doing some shading here just to make this swoop. The sunflower is too big to actually be a sunflower on this page, but by adding this, it just seems to make it all work, in my mind anyways. And then I go back and I'm touching up the shading on the napkin petals and then on the gel print petals as well. I also glued a circle down from the third gel print. I thought that was good, not patterning, but don't get attached to it because I'll be changing it in a minute. I'm edging the page with my shading as well. Loving how everything's coming together once it's dry. I'm adding a little bit of gold embellishment on the petals here. It's again very subtle because the gold, it's there, but it's very, very kind of hidden in a way. But I like the look. Kind of catches the light. Then I decide I'm going to paint the center of this gold, add a little more bling, but again, I change my mind in a minute. Happening a lot lately. When I go to look for a sentiment, I don't know where I would put it. I thought in the center. I looked at my small stamp collection. I found this stamp that says Sparkle and Shine, and I thought that would fit perfectly in the middle, but my center right now was a little too small. So I decide I'm just going to stamp it on that collage paper and then cut out a circle that fits it and glue that in the center. It's very close to the same size, so I really didn't lose anything by upping the size of the center to a circle that fits the script or the sentiment stamp. So look at your sentiment stamps and what can you use on an art journal page. And there we have it. I stamped with black acrylic paint on there. I clean my stamps after putting acrylic paint on them, always, always. And I'm gluing that down with the gel medium. Are you enjoying my 5 for Fall series? Got a couple more to come. Check my video stream to see what other ones I have in that series. I heat up the tape so it comes off without removing paper. Close-ups of the finished project are coming right up. This napkin called Autumn Birch, the stencil, Leafy Vines, and there's the finished project. Let me know what you think, and definitely let me know if you take the challenge.